Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. I hope you're all really well. For those of you that are new, welcome, and for those of you that have already been here, welcome back. This week we're painting our shed. This shed was a love project between James and his father. They built it together by hand, and we've had this shed for about 2 years since we've been in our new built property basically. And over the years I think it started to wear. At the moment it has an oil-based stain which is starting to wear, as you can see, and weather. So I think we need to give it a fresh coat of paint. We've chosen Sadlin because it suits an oil-based coat. So because we have an oil-based underneath, we need something that will suit that, which is harder to find than you would think. And to get a really nice smooth finish, we're going to use these guns and the compressor, which James already had. So without any more waffling, let's get right into it. A great finish always starts with good prep work, and this is exactly what James is doing here. He's covering up the trims to prevent any paint from getting on them. It's a super warm day out there when you're really in the sun, but so far we're making good progress with the shed. We've got to make sure that we cover it all around because James is going to spray as opposed to paint it. So it makes the job easier then because he can just go ahead and spray it. So if all goes well and we've made good progress today, we might even begin spray painting it, which I said to James is a good idea because then it means that tomorrow if he wants to do a second coat, he'll basically have it done and dried tomorrow as opposed to doing 2 coats tomorrow or maybe not even being able to do 2 coats. Well babe, what do you think?
It's a long process, but hopefully it'll be worth it in the end.
This is the last window that we're doing here. We've got one of the other windows done, as you can already see. And because we're using the door, we can't do the door yet, but I'm guessing these will have to be covered too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll have to cover those too. And they're an odd shape, so it might be a bit more difficult, but we'll get there. So guys, it's officially happening. Look what James... This is yours or you brought it from home? That's James's. So he's going to spray paint with this. What do you call this?
Compressor.
A compressor. So he's going all out. So it should be like a perfect finish. Because the current stain on the shed is oil based, it's really important to get a good sanding. The reason for this is because the sanding helps for the new paint to grip onto something. Now, when we went to the paint shop and we were asking the salesperson in the paint shop whether we needed to sand or not, he said that we didn't need to, but we didn't really fully trust that, and we wanted to have a really good finish and not regret not sanding. So we did decide to sand just to make sure that everything went right, but we did only give it a light sand, so nothing too serious. While James continued spray painting the shed, I went to take care of a task that had been on my mind for a really long time. As you can see, this climbing rose is growing in every direction possible. It's going upwards, sideways, and everywhere, and it really needs to be trained to grow sideways, and that's why we have that wooden trellis, which you can see in the background. And that was James there as well, coming to inspect on me, because everything I do he always comes to inspect and make sure I'm doing it right. So yeah, what I'm doing there is I'm just using a bit of garden thread, and I'm basically tying the stems of the rose onto the trellis itself to encourage the plant to grow sideways. One of my struggles with roses, however, are these dark spots, which can either be a fungal disease or a deficiency. If anyone knows what this is, please put it down in the comments. Earlier you will have seen that I was doing our climbing roses because they were starting to just grow wild and grow everywhere. So I'm trying to train them to grow sideways, and I'm told that when they grow sideways the shoots come up this way. So that's how you encourage them to do that. So that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to train them to grow sideways and eventually meet in the middle. There is another climbing rose that I bought, and to be honest I'm not so happy with the climbing roses that we bought because they're kind of very fragile when they grow, when they bud and flower. They sort of flower very short amount of time, like 2 or 3 days, and then they just end up falling. So, but I couldn't have known that at the time, so I just picked what I could. And this one happens to be very different. As you can see, the leaves are so much smaller than the other one, and it's just a completely different type of rose. This one is like a light pink, the other one is sort of like a salmon type of color. So we'll see how this one grows this year. It doesn't look like it's made as much progress as the other one, but that's purely because I think It's just got smaller leaves, so that's what it looks like. And here in the center, I bought this I think from Lidl last year, and it's kind of like a very, very small pink rose that's also a climber, so I'm hoping that it'll start to climb upwards, and once it does, it'll reach the trellis, and then hopefully I can get it to keep growing, because I thought the climbing roses would meet in the middle much quicker, but this is a second year and they haven't, so it's just going to take a bit of time, I guess. But this season this one has grown lots, so I'm very happy with that. So guys, I'm back from work. It's a new day, and James has been continuing on with sanding and painting, but it's a slow kind of process because it takes a lot really to sand, because there's oil behind it. So yeah, it's just after 5 p.m. now, and James is not finished yet, so it's really been taking like, I think 2 days, and it took most of the day yesterday just to prep the shed. So yeah, James hasn't been filming much because it's just so much labor in there that he just didn't feel like getting the camera out. So I'll show you what the progress is like. Right guys, so it is the third day and we haven't filmed absolutely everything because it's just boring old stuff. So the bits in between we haven't filmed, but I think it's finally done, so all the coats are on now and it's just drying away. So we'll give you a look at what it's like so far. So here we are. James has done 3 coats on this, so it's not looking so bad, I think. And we're going to start to take these little bits off. So now is the final reveal because we'll get to see the trims. But yeah, we're liking the colour. And this is the final reveal, and for anybody out there that's curious, this paint color is called Jungle Green. James bought 5 liters and he did 3 coats, which was more than enough, and we had some left over, and it cost about £55. So all in all things considered, I think the color is really nice and the finish is really nice. I think that it's given the shed a new lease of life. Hi guys, it's a new day and it's probably a good few days since we did the shed. Here's Meowie, here's Moo coming to join us. But the shelf isn't yet done. We bought a couple more pots, couple more flowers and plants and stuff like that, and I'm just gonna try and arrange them in a way that works. So here's what I'm working with at the moment. I'll show you. This is what the shelf is looking like. It's kind of provisional. These are not really in the pots at the top. They're just the plant pot is inside this metal pot that I have. And these are some of the flowers that we've grabbed. So I have to try and figure out some sort of way to make it work. And look what James bought me the other weekend. These 2 pots. Really, really pretty. They're outdoor as well and they're frost proof. Super nice. One of our roses starting to bloom as well. That's the bud there. We think it's one of the roses that's over there because we propagated it and put it in here. So yeah, and then the purple rose, which you know we got from the garden center. That one has little buds as well. Probably can't see it from here, but they haven't come out yet. So I'm really curious to see what they turn out like. But yeah, let's get started. As some of you will know from our previous video, James built this tiered shelf for me, and at the time I had a couple of plants, but I didn't have plant pots, so in the meantime I went to B&M and I bought a couple of plant pots, and as you can see here I have two pots which are really, really beautiful. They're in this sort of like green surrounding, and I've had to just put some holes in it because they do need holes for drainage. That is very important for plants. And now I'm just arranging them and basically making this shelf as it should have been from the beginning, but I didn't have time up until now with work and everything going. So that was my plan, was basically to just pot all the plants and to arrange everything in a way that looks presentable and beautiful. We've also moved our greenhouse over to this side of the fence because we've had a big accident where the wind just completely took it out. So trying to figure out how to organize this properly so that it actually makes sense. We've got two plants here that are in the back and they're really beautiful, but they're in the back. Doesn't make sense, so we're trying to reorganize. I think if we put these, which are just plastic, put them behind, but then they kind of, I don't know, at the same time it takes away from what they are too because they'll be behind, you know? So yeah guys, this is finally the shelf project completed. At this point I think I'm happy with where it's at. Before it wasn't fully completed because I hadn't had all the plant pots and I hadn't arranged everything, but now I think I can finally say I'm happy with it. And I think that my point in it was always that every time I would come out into my garden I would just take joy in the plants and the flowers set up on it. Also, another point of it and why it's tiered is for the plants to all get the same amount of sun and to not be covered over. So this is why a lot of the plants you'll see are more towards the edge, because otherwise the stem will tend to bend towards the light. Anybody that grows flowers will know this. So yeah, this was my idea behind it. As always, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Join us again next week as we get up to more DIY gardening bits and pieces and all sorts of random things. See you guys next week. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe.